To the Carla Knits podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, sometimes crocheting, but always all of the yarny goodness that I love. Today is Monday, December 19th. I'm coming to you from Nebraska, where I live with my husband Jeff, our daughter Jenna, and our cat Reese's. For those of you who have been with me for a while, you can see I am in a different location. So I've tried a couple different spots in December, so I thought it would be fun to film in front of the Hoosier cabinet. This is actually where I started filming, was in front of the Hoosier cabinet. Almost 2 years ago, the Hoosier cabinet was downstairs, but we've moved it upstairs to our living room. And we have our manger scene, which is a family heirloom on my husband's side. I don't know how far back it goes, but it has a special place on the Hoosier right now. And so I thought it would be fun to film here. It's a gray, kind of overcast, cloudy day here, cold in the 20s. So it's really nice inside with the twinkling lights and the candles. So I hope wherever you are nice and cozy too. I think I said this is episode 66. I've been recording weekly in the month of December, so thank you so much to those of you who have been joining me each week, hearing about my progress, mostly on Advent projects. I've enjoyed interacting with you in the comments, so thank you so much to all returning viewers and subscribers, and if you're new, welcome, and thanks for joining us today. Let's see, a couple administrative things at the top of the episode. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as cbcraftygirl, and we do have a podcast group on Ravelry, and we currently have 2 make-alongs going on. So the first is the Love Your Stash Mail 2022, and this has been a knit-along using yarn in our stash that was purchased or received prior to the beginning of this year. So there are over 1,000 finished objects, and I have a couple to highlight today. So one is by Carn Z on Ravelry, and that is Leslie. And she posted a picture of the easiest cable hat ever by Corey Eichelberger. And it's a beautiful hat. And the pom-pom you chose is just lovely. Leslie, you've been knitting up a storm. So many hats and headbands, so many things you've been working on. So I like this cable pattern. So it will be going in my favorites for sure. The next one is by The Yarn Goes On, and that's Lisa, and she posted sock pair number 21, which is so impressive to me. And she said, using up the last of her Peyton's Croy sock yarn. So way to go, Lisa. And then the last one I want to highlight is by Knitter Dat, and that's Darcy, the designer behind Chit Chat Knits. And she posted a picture, I think she's calling these hot dish mittens or mitts. So this is a pattern that she is working on, just the cutest, there's 2 pictures here, cute pair of mittens. And it's my understanding that she's using worsted weight held with fingering weight. So great scrappy project, and these just look so nice and warm and toasty and cozy. So that pattern will be coming at some point, so we can look forward to that. So thank you to all of you who have been participating. Later in the episode, I will be talking about our Love Your Stash Mail 2023. All right, the second make-along that we have going on in the Ravelry group is the Adventurous Mal 2022, and this is a make-along that I am co-hosting with my friend Heidi of the podcast Yarn It, and she is hosting it on Instagram, so the Instagram hashtag Adventurous Mal 2022, and this is to use those advent calendars or use minis in your stash, advent, self-striping socks that you might have received a skein of yarn, like a 24 stripe Advent skein of yarn. So this started on December 1st. So this was new cast-ons December 1st, and this goes until the end of January. So hopefully gives some of us time to finish up some things that we might be working on for Advent. So hi Heidi, if you're watching, and I'm enjoying co-hosting this Mal with you, or this knit along, make along, because you can crochet too, so make along, absolutely. So I just wanted to share one picture. We have one finished object in that Adventurous Mal on Ravelry, and that is by Peggy. You guys have heard me talking about Peggy the last couple of weeks. So this is Bork P on Ravelry, and she made the Love Lights socks by Barbara Naluko. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. And these socks turned out so cute, Peggy. I absolutely love them. And in addition to the socks that she made, she also crocheted granny squares with the minis. So this make along kind of coincided with our 12 skeins of Christmas mini skein swap. So she used her minis from the swap to make the socks and to make granny squares. So way to go, Peggy. I think you've done a great job. And speaking of Peggy, I wanted to share the full skein of yarn that she included in our Advent swap package. Absolutely love it. I think my podcast friends know me very well. It is a beautiful pink skein of yarn. It has a pink mini to go with it. The yarn is by Granite State Yarns, which I was not familiar with this, in the Blossom colorway, and that is so pretty. Oh, isn't that lovely? It's got some fun little speckles in it. That is just lovely. So thank you so much, Peggy. I've enjoyed your swap package so much. And I think we certainly will be continuing that 12 skeins of Christmas mini skein swap for 2023. So, stay tuned to that. That will get announced later in the summer. Yeah, so thank you very much for that. All right, I guess today I do have something that I'm wearing. So what am I wearing today? This is my ranunculus. I knit it in 2021. This is a pattern by Midori Hirose or Hirose. I knit it using 2 strands of yarn held together, one being a mohair. I put this on this morning. I'm like, oh, this is such a nice sweater. It's really light, but it's really warm and fuzzy. Like I said, it's in the 20s today. So, and we've had some really cold temperatures recently. And later this week, it's supposed to only be in the single digits. So, and we've also had some wind. So of course it makes it feel colder. So, I am loving the cold weather. If you've been here for a while, you know that I like winter. I like snow. I love the colder weather. We do not have snow, but, maybe a little bit in the forecast for this week, but we'll see how that pans out. But I'm loving the cold weather and getting to wear sweaters. So that is the ranunculus. All right, I actually have, let's see, a few finished objects today. So I will start, this was kind of impromptu cast on. These, and they kind of, I don't know, they might be a little goofy. I made Jeff try them on, and I think he thought they were a little goofy. So if you think they're a little goofy, that's okay. But they're slippers. These are the Cloud slippers. Maybe I'll try this. The Cloud slippers. This is a free pattern on Ravelry by KnitandNot. I saw on the Cozy Up Knits podcast that the girls were knitting these, and so I wanted to try. It was a very quick knit. I think I cast on, I did finish one in one day. Yeah, and then the next one I just took a little bit longer to finish. But the yarn for these is Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick in the Fossil colorway. and it's knitted flat, and then you seam it up. It uses a size 15 knitting needle, which I did not have, and so I purchased it. But I think I would go down either a couple of things. They fit, but one actually is a little, it looks like it's a little taller than the other one, and I think this is the first one, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe it's just looser because I've tried it on, and it definitely stretches quite a bit. And I knit the women's size 8 to 10 because I'm a US women's 10 for shoes, and it fits, but it doesn't fit real snug. So I feel like either I should have go down a needle size or two, either 13 or an 11 to try this again, because it is quite a bit of stretch to this. Or I could knit the smaller women's size in the pattern using this size needle, and that probably would be fine. Really cute pattern. I will say I like how these slippers feel when I'm wearing socks, but when I just put them on, bare feet, I do not like the texture of those bulky stitches on my feet. That's definitely, I don't like that. So I would say these slippers definitely would go over socks, and maybe that's what they're intended for, just some house slippers, but very cozy if your toes are cold. So I probably will enjoy, snuggling up on my couch, knitting this winter, and maybe wearing these on my feet for some extra toasty and cozy toes. So that is the cloud slippers. A really quick knit. I asked Jeff if he would wear them, and he's like, no. He was trying to be so nice and polite, like he thought maybe I had already knit them for him, which I hadn't, but I just kind of was curious, would he like something like that? So definitely not, but I think, and it could be the color too, but yeah, I think I probably would stick with knitting this pattern for girls, for myself. Yeah, so that's the first finished object I have. The second finished object I have to share is my Christmas self-striping socks. So these socks I cast on Thanksgiving Day. So Thanksgiving Day cast on, which was wonderful. And I finished actually Kitchenering one of the socks, maybe it was this one, this morning. So I really wanted to get this pair of socks done for Christmas. I didn't want this to be a lingering whip. I love the yarn so much. The yarn is by Night Owl Fibers. Hi Rachel and Brenda if you're watching. And it's in Rachel's Christmas 2022 colorway. I chose to purchase her DK weight self-striping, but she did also have it on fingering. Very nice yarn to work with. Absolutely love the color. I think it looks really good with the green in my sweater. So really, really fun. So a nice pair of Christmas socks to add to my Christmas sock repertoire, I guess. And I used the Crazy Sock Ladies DK vanilla weight sock pattern for that. My third finished object is, I'm really excited to have this done. This is the Snow and Mistletoe Cowl by Jennifer Rundhaug. This is a fingering weight yarn. It's 100% Blue Face Luster. It's by Knit Circus Yarns in the Let It Snow colorway. So you can see it's a gradient yarn. I was so excited to get to that green. So I absolutely love the green. Not entirely sure how to wear this. In my mind, you have that one little snowflake there. So this reminds me of like a dark sky, and one little snowflake starts falling, and then they increase as they get to the ground or get closer to to us on earth. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So I didn't know if I should wear it this way. And of course the necklines on cowls usually do bug me. I will try that on. So you can see it probably flops a little weird. So I might have to find some kind of pin to pin it a little bit. I do have a snowflake pin that would be really cute. So I didn't know if I should wear it this way or with the cream side at the top. There we go. So you can see what that looks like, but you know how it flops over. I just am not really good about knowing how to style this kind of cowl. I don't really like that weird floppiness. Sometimes it drapes nicely. It just kind of folds nicely and naturally, but I don't feel like it is the case with this one. So I'm gonna have to play around with this a little bit. If you have any suggestions about that, you can let me know. But I really do love how this looks. I love the yarn, the color of the yarn, and this was such a nice project to work on during this month of December. And it's a project that I have wanted to make for a while, so I'm really excited to have completed that. And I think the snowflakes opened up so nicely with blocking. All right, I guess I wouldn't consider these next finished objects, but they are, well, I guess each individual one is a finished object, but I made 3 additional squares this week for the Creative Advent Throw that I'm working on by Cozy Up Knits. So this would have been, let's see, I think day 11, yeah. So there's day 11. I really like that yarn, it's really pretty. Day 11, and again, I'm using, what is it, Dye-Lot Studio, I think. I'm forgetting now, I think it's Dye-Lot Studio, a couple of DK mini skein sets that I had purchased from her. And then this was day 12, this bright, fun pink color, rosy deep pinks, fuchsias in there, and it has that fun button texture. And yeah, I didn't talk about this, but this last one had the garter ridges in there. So garter ridges, the button texture, and then back, this would have been day 13, the color I picked out of the bag. And that's a really fun variegated yarn too. So that's day 13. So, you know, I was talking last week about feeling frazzled, and I think I'm doing better now. Most of my work commitments outside of the house have been completed, and so I'm really thankful for that. The squares felt like it was a lot to try to keep up with each day. Not only the knitting part, you know, that might have been manageable, but the I-cord bind off, you know, certainly added some time to that too. So I'm happy that I completed 3 squares this week, because I also got to finish some projects, you know, that I have been working on, the cowl and the socks, and then I started and completed a really simple project with those slippers. So I think the knitting felt a little bit more relaxed this week, so I'm grateful for that. I like what, you know, you guys always are so nice and kind about commenting down below on the videos. And I really like what you said, Lisa, about, you know, how about, you know, keep going with this Creative Advent Throw, just maybe make it an annual thing. So I don't necessarily have to finish it right now, but, you know, continue at each Advent if I want to add, you know, add squares to it, because I said as is, it would be a tiny blanket, and I do want it to be at least a nice size throw. So I really like that you said that, Lisa. So I feel like I will still make some of the squares, and I might finish off the squares. You know, I have, let's see, 13. So I have 11 more that I could do for, you know, the yarn that I bought, because I did do 24 mini skeins. And so I may try to finish those off, but then I think I will set that project aside and just, maybe work on it next year during Advent. Or, if the mood strikes me and I want to work on it sometime during the next year, that's fine too, but the pressure's off if I just think of it as an annual blanket project. So thank you, Lisa, for that. That kind of helped ease some of the burden for me, so thank you very much. All right, Leslie, I also liked what you said. It sounds like maybe a blanket along. So I talked that I have several works in progress or blankets, long-standing blankets. So I thought it would be fun to share some of those with you guys today. So in addition to this newest blanket that I started with the Advent squares, I have 3 other blankets. So one, I believe I shared earlier this year, this is a blanket that my husband's Grandma Marie started. I don't know when she would have started it, but she did not finish it. I do have the pattern book. Oh, I don't have it with me at the moment, but I do have the pattern book. And I sat down and figured out, where she was in the pattern. And it looks like there's plenty of this blue yarn to finish it up. And ideally, I would have liked to have made it for Jeff for Christmas this year. But it would be really nice to work on next year and give to him Christmas of 2023. So this is one of the blanket projects. So I have not worked on this at all, but I think it would be really special to work on, just knowing that Grandma Marie, worked on it too. She was such a sweet, dear lady, and she is the only one in our family, as far as I know, who knits. So I think Aunt Gail might knit and crochet too, but Grandma Marie, was quite the knitter. We have baby sweaters that she knit for our oldest son, Aaron, and she and I would talk about knitting. So it was something that, I came into loving when, she was pretty well into her 80s and then 90s, but we did share a love of knitting, and we did get to talk about that quite a bit, and I got all of her knitting supplies and some things. So that blanket is one I would definitely like to work on. The other 2 are scrappy blankets. So the one that is closest to being done, which I have shown on the podcast, but not for some time, and I don't know if I will unwrap the whole thing. I think I will just hold it here. This is the Granny Stripe blanket. This is a paddock by Lucy of Attic 24. And I started this years ago. This does not even have a project page on Ravelry, which I should just make one. But yeah, so here's a little bit of an idea. This is all folded up. So, gosh, this feels so nice and squishy right now. I really should get back to this. So I started it as an Advent project a number of years ago when I did a swap that Amy of Noble Character Crafts had hosted. And I started the blanket with some of those minis. And then I've just kind of added scraps from my stash here and there, and I've made the magic knot balls. And that's currently, I think what I have in here is another magic knot ball that I can work on to add to this. But really, really very close to being done with this one. So I really should just, focus on this one and get her done, because I would like to have that. My yarn room is, formerly Ryan's bedroom, and I still think of it as Ryan's bedroom, but, I kind of have, I've definitely taken it over. So we have a baseball comforter on his bed, but it sure would be nice to finish this crochet blanket and put that on the bed. I think that would be perfect for the yarn room. So that project, and then I also have a Cozy Memories blanket, which again, I have not worked on in some time. Don't know if I have a square going right now, but here is my Cozy Memories blanket, which I absolutely love the scrappiness of this. This one takes a little bit longer. Crochet goes faster, but each square, you know, I hear some knitters talk about this and it seems like their squares go by so fast, but it probably takes me a couple hours to do each square, and that's okay. It's just a little bit more time consuming. But I really do love this, and when I look at this, I see, you know, projects that I've made, and so it brings back nice memory socks that I've made for people, cowls maybe, you know, just some different things, baby socks. So this really does have some great memories attached to it. So that is another blanket that I would like to work on in the new year. So Leslie, when you suggested, you know, do I hear a blanket along in the future? That might be a really good idea. So let me know in the comments down below if any of you would be interested in a blanket along. So you could make a new blanket, or you could just work on blankets that you already have in the works. So, you know, that could be a separate knit along, crochet along mail from the Love Your Stash mail. So please do let me know if that's something you guys are interested in, but I think it's definitely something that I am interested in investing some of my time into those blankets. All right. So talking about, you know, make-alongs, I would like to talk, you know, just briefly about the Love Your Stash Mail for 2023. So I'm going to continue with that name, Love Your Stash Mail 2023. I still will probably draw prizes the same way, quarterly. I believe I am going to offer up pattern prizes, just because it is getting a little expensive to send off prizes to people. So I won't say that as a hard and fast rule. That's kind of the way I'm leaning, but I also do like, you know, hosting with prizes. So we will see. We will see what happens with that. But I am leaning probably towards pattern prizes and drawing quarterly for that. Or, you know, with pattern prizes, I might draw every 2 months. So we'll see about that. But it's going to be, you know, Love Your Stash. So things in your stash prior to 2023. But a couple different things. Well, this isn't necessarily different, but whips are allowed. And this year I'm going to say that, you know, any project that you are making, you know, it has to be at least 50% from stash. So if you need to add to a project to make it a project and you need to purchase new yarns, I'm going to say that is fine. So like the sweater I made this year, the pink sweater where I had to add a skein of yarn in, I think something like that is just fine. So I'm just going to say, you know, at least 50% stash, and then if you need to use, you know, new yarns, that's okay. Yeah, so that's one new different thing. And then I'm also going to say, you know, stash could also be stash patterns this year. So so you might use new yarn for this. Ideally, I guess you should still use stash yarn, but I'm going to say, you know, if you're using a pattern that you've had stashed for a while, so nothing that you purchased in 2023, but patterns purchased, you know, whether they're in your Ravelry library or knitting books that you have, so maybe revisiting some of the patterns that we've had for a while and using that is going to be a way to participate in the stash make-along as well. Of course, you are allowed to double dip, triple dip in other knit-alongs. I know Brittany of the Turtle Burger podcast is going to be hosting a stash sock along. Hi, Brittany, if you're watching. So, you know, it would be great. You know, lots of us love to make socks. So if you would like to participate, you know, making socks from stash, you can participate in her make-along as well as mine. And I'm certain there are other stash make-alongs that will be happening too, or other sock knit-alongs. So please let me know if you have any questions or any thoughts about the upcoming make-along. And should we do a blanket make-along? Just a little heads up, I think we are going to be doing a Love Note sweater make-along sometime late winter to early spring. So a couple of us have been talking about that. So that's something fun to think about. I have not made that sweater yet. I guess I consider the ranunculus and love note sweaters very similar. And I started with this one, so I figure maybe it's time to tackle that love note sweater. All right, a little bit of talk about my plans for the remainder of December as far as my, December knitting. I plan to work on my Shiny Bright socks. This is in my jingly bag here. So this pattern, I have not put much work into. Actually, I put a few rounds in this morning. But this is a pattern by Darcy, again, of Chit Chat Knits, this colorwork sock. So I would like to work on this. I would like to get both socks done. I don't think that's going to happen in December. I think I could get one of the socks done in December. I'm just not the fastest sock knitter, and especially when it comes to fingering weight yarn, definitely not. But I probably will continue, working on this into January, just because I generally don't like to have socks without a pair, for very long. So I do not have any other sock whips right now. So this is my only sock whip. So I will enjoy working on that. So that's definitely in the plans. I would like to make at least a few more squares for the blanket. And I think I'm in a better headspace now where the concentrating has gotten a little bit better. So that's good. And then some of you may be wondering about the Knitting McPurley Advent Calendar. I didn't bring any colors or any yarns to show. I made those mittens, which I shared, I think it was last week's podcast. This week has just gone. So the mittens that I made, which turned out really cute. I did block them. I was concerned because the ribbing, was up here on my hand. Blocking did not help that, okay? And I did wear these mittens yesterday. It was in the single digits yesterday when I drove to church. And, as much as I like the way the mittens look and the colors, they're really fun, they just don't fit my hands very well. The body of the mitten kind of turns a little bit, so it feels like, I can actually feel it like it's crooked on my hand. And it's weird because I only feel like it on my left hand and not my right hand. So I'm not really sure, but it just does not fit me that well. Now, I have not been a mitten knitter for very long. I did make 2 pair last year, and so and that pattern I used was by the World's Simplest Mitten by Tin Can Knits, and I feel like that one probably turned out a little better, but I gifted both of those, so I can't say for sure. So I will probably try to make another set of mittens maybe for myself. And let me ask you this: have you guys knit like a fingering held with mohair? Again, I'm asking about the fingering and mohair. Have you ever knit mittens, holding those two together? Because I'm looking for really warm mittens. The mittens that I knit for Jeff, I might have said it wrong. The mittens that I knit for Jeff and gifted him last Christmas, they were green, and it was the Cascade superwash wool yarn, worsted weight, and he just said they're not really warm, and that's what he would like, especially if he's out shoveling the snow and it's really cold and frigid. He really needs warmer mittens. So I wouldn't put mohair on mittens for him, but I'm thinking about for myself. Have any of you done that? And I know I could do like a mitten with a liner inside. That would certainly be warmer. And maybe a more rustic wool would be warmer. So there are definitely things I could do. So, but getting back to the Knitting McPurley Advent. So 3 project patterns came with her Advent set. So the first was the cute striped socks. The second was a hat. And, I said last week, I assumed it started with the brim. Well, I was wrong. It started with an I-cord and for like ear flaps, And, I saw that. I'm like, no, I'm doing so many I-cords, bind offs with those squares. I thought, no, I'm not going to do that right now. So I did not do the hat at all. The third pattern started, I think, with day 17, and that is a cowl, and I'm much more interested in doing that. So I may just start with that color, with day 17's color, and knit the cowl, just a really simple cowl, because I really love her, beautiful tonal yarns. I think they are gorgeous, and I don't want that Advent kit to just languish. So I would like to do that, but the hat, I don't know right now. We'll see. So stay tuned. Maybe in January I will have a hat with that yarn. We'll see about that. And then the last thing for sure I know that I want to do is the December dishcloth by the Kitchen Sink Shop. So I have made every dishcloth this year, except, we're in December and I have not started that. So I definitely would like to do that one. And it's another little women themed dishcloth, I think called Marmee, after the mother. So that is definitely something I am looking forward to working on. So in addition to those knitting plans, some other plans will be to take stock of the whips that I have. So, the blankets are definitely, included in there. And so I will share on the next episode the current whips that I have. I would like to tidy up my yarn stash. When I looked back at one of my podcasts recently and saw the yarn shelf, it was looking a little haphazard in spots. I thought, well, that's not the nicest. So I probably should take some time to organize the yarns on the shelf and make it a little more pretty looking. I want to check my Make 9 boards from 2022 and see how I did. And I will share that all with you. Perhaps make a 2023 grid. For 2022, I made 2 boards, but I think for 2023, I would only do 1, and I certainly will include whips on there because there are things I would like to work on. If not, maybe not finish everything, but things that I would like to work on. And of course, there are several new projects, many new projects, too many new projects that I want to cast on. So some of those will be on there as well. And then I would like to tally up the projects from 2022, and I will share those with you on the next episode also. So with that, I think we are coming to the end of our episode. I have a little special thing that I am including in the end. We have a special guest today. My husband, Jeff, has joined me for a musical number, I guess I would say, on the piano. So I was really grateful for him for doing that. So I will include that at the end of this podcast. But I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and Happy New Year to you. I will return sometime in January. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season with family, friends, however you enjoy celebrating. And I hope you find some time for your knitting or crafting. With that, I will say goodbye, and I'll see you in the new year. Merry Christmas. Okay, hi guys. We have a special guest joining us today on this podcast. So this is my husband, Jeff.
Hello.
Who I've talked about quite a bit on the podcast. He's a big fan of my yarn, right? But Jeff works at our college in town. He's a full-time music professor, and he also is a composer and has composed lots of music. And today we thought it would be fun to play from his Christmas piano duet collection. We're going to play a song for you guys. So this is a piece on Angels We Have Heard on High. Anything you want to say?
Enjoy.
Okay. Bye.